watching. There goes your live.
Okay. Hey guys, Matt McKeever here, and I'm here with
Jeff Weibo.
And so we're live to you on YouTube right now. And so this is the Cashflow2Go show. We kind of forgot to mention the name last time. So
I think it was written on the board.
We're getting new to this. We're still fairly new to this. But so, yeah, so the idea behind this is, you know, we get tons of questions and comments, emails, texts, DMs on all our social media platforms. And rather than have one-to-one conversations, which are just like, it's not scalable for us, we want to really start, you know, upping things here and start being able to interact with you guys, but interact with you on a larger level. And so why not YouTube Live?
Yeah. So we'll just let the chat grow a bit.
But yeah, so feel free to ask your questions. Our good buddy Adam Steeper, you'll see his handle Randomly Interesting. He'll be kind of moderating and picking out questions for us. So
Mr. Steeper, if you're over on Instagram.
But don't leave the YouTube Live.
Don't leave. So get over to YouTube for the rest of this.
But so while we're waiting
Links
for
in Matt's bio.
yeah,
Sorry.
while we're waiting for people to get in there and start asking their questions, I figured we'd just kind of talk about what's new this week for us. So right now I'm just about, I think it would be 16, 18 hours into a 60-hour fast that myself, Jeff Weibo, and Peter the Hungarian Experiment are doing. All three of us have toyed around with intermittent fasting. Peter particularly is very devout to it. I regularly practice intermittent fasting. I've done it for a few years now. And Jeff does it.
I've probably done it since 2014 or something like that.
Yeah.
Where you just start with not eating breakfast, and then you have lunch, and then eventually you can get to skipping eating lunch, and then you just eat dinner. But it seems to be like a lot of people in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Just don't. It must have been because
it's a time thing, I think.
You have your breakfast, you go to your school when you were a kid, and you have that lunch period, and then you go home and you eat, and like that's what everybody still thinks you need to do, I think, right? So, but so I'm not saying you could do what Matt's doing. I'm not doing my fast till I think Sunday.
Yeah.
So I got some personal stuff this weekend.
And speaking of that personal stuff this weekend,
first wedding
congrats.
anniversary. So
yeah.
I think I'd be a bad wedding date or anniversary date if I was just like, can I have water, please? So,
so this week in real estate, me and Jeff went and looked at 4 properties this week, which is kind of average, maybe even a little bit below average, but just checking out a lot of multifamily properties. We actually bounced around the city a fair bit. We were kind of in North Blackfriars there for a bit. Then we went to the Old East Village, the heart of where I invest, as well as, where else did we go and look?
We were at Forward Ave.
Okay, yeah.
Area.
And so anyways, yeah, checked out a bunch of multifamilies. Nothing that really kind of was too enticing. You know, the classic thing where you don't really know until you go out and actually walk through these properties, right? You're looking through the photos that the realtors posted for you, and you see 3 kitchens. So you're like, 3 kitchens, maybe this could be turned into a triplex.
The photography was down here.
Yeah.
And you get in and it's up
and you find that, you know, the ceiling's only 6 feet high. And in London, Ontario specifically, we have rules saying that an apartment has to be at least 6'5" and any egress points. So that kind of squashed that potential deal.
Yeah.
And I think there was one other one too that had a really low basement. So that was kind of
and that's the one we spent the most time in trying to make it work. There were some options we could do with renovations there.
Yeah, because one of the interesting things you could do with a property where maybe the basement's illegal, maybe you could add that just kind of as a bonus room or storage room for them. Maybe they end up using it sometimes, but then you also allocate part of the main floor, which is going to have the legal ceiling height, and have the main necessities of what an apartment, like a housing or apartment needs to constitute. So your kitchen, your bathroom, and your bedroom. You could cram that all into a small section of the upstairs, and then give them the downstairs as a bonus. So yeah,
like a rec room or something, rather than a kitchen down there. So
yeah, and then so otherwise, this week I'd put in 2 more offers on from a private seller. This has been such a long story. I'm getting so sick of this story. Both Adam and Jeff are very familiar with this story, but the thing is, I met and started talking to this guy back in January of 2017, and we've been negotiating back and forth. This would have been the 4th round of offers I've made. They're identical each time, and every time he'll just like call me up out of the blue and be like, okay, today's the day, I'm going to do this, let's sign it.
Timings don't matter.
Yeah.
Like irrevocable.
Yeah.
Whenever he calls you back.
Because at the end of the day, if I think there's an opportunity there, I want to execute on it. You know, he is starting to try my patience more than most private sellers do, but yeah, that's kind of what's been going on with me in the real estate world.
Yeah. I sold Pawnee in the city. But I just want to talk to any of the junior realtors out there that's following. basically this was a sale where there was some stuff going on, but this was a seller who is in our network. He has multiple properties for me to sell potentially. So many realtors can be so transactional on one deal. I went, what I think, at least above and beyond to make this happen. So I listed the property and executed the whole time like a businessman. I had to spend extra money that I not normally would, but I knew it didn't matter about that particular commission. It was get that house sold, and it wasn't about, oh, it's too expensive. No, my seller said sell it, so I got it done and there was a few hiccups, and I just solved the problems.
Yeah.
Which I hope if you're a junior agent, just solve problems out there. Don't create them for your seller.
And realize real estate's relationship oriented, particularly if you have like a potential repeat customer, right? Like someone that is flipping houses on a regular basis, you know, rather than focusing on that one transaction, focus on the relationship, think big picture. People do remember, right, when you do them a solid. So
like, it wasn't selling. I got staging in there. I didn't say, hey, staging is going to be this much money. I just did it. So just little things like that cost money, but at the end of the day, I still made money on the deal. So it's kind of, I kind of approach that listing like you're a renovator or a contractor. Like, you have a quote, this much, it cost you this much money, and then your profit was at the end, kind of, right? Rather than most realtors just put the sign on the lawn, get the pictures done, and let it sit there for 90 days and say, sorry, you're overpriced.
And so before we jump into the comments, there was someone that reached out to me earlier this week with a specific question, so I figured this would be a great opportunity to kind of discuss it, because I get a lot of similar questions about this. And so the question was about specifically tax strategies related to real estate, corporate structure, as well as just a very specific set of circumstances. And so the thing is, like, as far as like how you're going to organize your partnerships, how you're going to set up your tax structure, or whether you're going to put the property in your name or your corporate name, honestly, it's very situational based, and it's going to depend exactly on where you live. So it's really hard for me to craft an answer, and particularly even for me to craft a proper answer, like, I need to write thousands of words. So I do plan on coming out with some more generic tax advice towards real estate investing, and so it's just going to be kind of the broad strokes. It's just going to be kind of the common sense that a lot of people are familiar with, but it'll still be great if you're new to real estate. So that's kind of what's going on there. As far as like whether to buy it personally or in a corporation, we get this all the time, and again, it's going to really depend. Personally, in Canada, we don't have a lot, like, our percentage of lawsuits is significantly less. There's a lot less risk of being sued as a landlord, and so what you'll often hear a lot of people recommend is, for the first few properties, just buy them in your personal name. Find out if you want to become a long-term landlord, right? A lot of people get into it and then decide later, it's not for me, you know, this is way more work, or this is way less money, or just way less fun. And so rather than go to the expense of setting up a corporation, doing all that, and then realizing it, I'd rather see you save some money and buy it personally. However, though, you really do need to talk to a tax accountant that's familiar with your exact area, as well as talk to a lawyer from your area, and just get a feel for exactly what's going on in your region. And don't be afraid to talk to other local landlords, right? Talk to people that are boots on the ground, people that know it, that have done it, and that know your area. But yeah, so that was kind of that question. So what are you saying, Adam? Do we got anything?
Yeah, we got some questions. We got some comments. People are liking the new lights. It looks a lot better here. They want to know if you're drinking moonshine or what's in there.
So yeah, so actually I'm drinking water because I'm doing the 60-hour fast, and Jeff's
I'll drink. Come on. We'll get something.
Right. Yeah, we'll get Jeff some vodka or whiskey in a little bit.
Right now.
Okay.
The public
Jeff just needs a little push, guys, so you can see, you just need to push us a little. But yeah, so I still got like another 44 hours to go in that fast. Again, I don't recommend that anyone else dive into a fast like this unless you really know your body, you really understand it. You should talk to your physician and just get a feel for what's right for you. But that's why I'll just be sipping on water tonight. So
Johnny had a question, actually, if you wanted to speak to the benefits of fasting.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll talk a little bit about fasting. So for me personally, it's honestly a huge time saver. It's not about like restricting your calories or anything. You're still consuming the same number of calories. Nice kind of that it's local vodka too. So from, I think, Brampton. But so anyways, yeah, what I like about fasting is it saves me time, honestly. Way less food prep, way less time thinking and eating food, and like it just allows for a much more situational lifestyle where like I can really flex. Like I used to work with a lot of people that would get very like hangry, is become the popular term now, where they would get angry because they're so hungry. And I just never liked that, and so I just wanted to kind of have more control over my body, and so that's what kind
it's
of
not
me into
easy
it.
to go to 60 hours day one. Like,
no, and don't do
almost
it.
Impossible.
Yeah, and please just don't do it.
What did I said? I've been at least skipping breakfast since 2000. I love like the North American breakfast, like bacon and eggs and all that, but you know, just have it at noon and then have it later in the day. And eventually, you just go to bed early, and then you got day one over, right?
Yeah.
I think day one sucks.
Yeah, I think the first 2 weeks are honestly, it takes a while for your body to kind of get into the new rhythm. But
did you get hunger today? Like a bit of...
No, just because I'm kind of used to it. Like, okay. I probably will feel it tomorrow.
I remember, like, always just feeling it. Like, when you're purposely now mentally saying you're not eating that day.
Yeah.
Because sometimes... You'll just get late in the day, and that became that, versus, like, in the morning, you said, I'm not eating today, and then you get hungry at 2 o'clock or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, it's difficult, right? So
yeah. But, so, yeah, I personally just really like it. I also...
well, if you want all the health benefits, go over to Peter, the Hungarian Experiments channel on YouTube after this one.
Yeah. Yeah, Peter's really big into intermittent fasting, along with another buddy of his, Eric. They're both doing Fastletics. It's really cool what they're trying to do there, just really help people get control of their physical lives. So yeah, and I think if you do a lot of research, there's all kinds of medical studies that have interesting things to say, but do your own due diligence, talk to your own doctor, and yeah, that's fasting.
Cool. You guys ready to get on to some
real estate? Yeah, let's dive into real estate.
Thanks, we got 20 guys on. I can see
yeah, we've got 20 viewers right now. We've got a couple questions queued up. Drew G, he said, if you're thinking of going solo as an agent, what exactly would you do starting off right after you get your license?
Oh, I think you need to start doing stuff before you got your license, which I've covered on some of my videos on my channel. Basically, you got to be telling everybody they're going to be a realtor, because that license means nothing, because you're just going to get it, and then you're going to be like, where are my clients? If you were prepping all the other people that are already in your life right now, like maybe they have another agent, but at least they know like you're trying to become an agent. You could just get the win from your parents right away, that kind of stuff. Maybe their friend at work, and they put you in. You never know. Like, so right away, start prepping that. And then once you get in, it's just think outside the box. Do not, people say, oh, I need to go to a brokerage where they have training and all that. Your training is just copying everybody in front of you that done the same thing. So don't get so nervous on like, oh, they don't offer training. It's like, come up with something. Like, get on Kijiji, start messaging people, put your own app. You can also find out if your brokerage has a lot of nice listings or any listings. Ask that agent, hey, can I advertise your listing? Because that guy might have like 10, and then you can just say, here's this beautiful house, 3 bed, 3 bath, like you're brand new, and then just put your name at the bottom. He's going to be happy because it's sold, because he's just trying to sell the property. Then you start to pick up buyers, and guess what? That buyer might be like, no, I don't like that place, it's only, the kitchen's too small. What else do you got? Client, like right away.
And then, so like talking about personal finances as a starting realtor, I think it's really wise to have a bit of a buffer, you know, a little bit of a safety net of money saved up, just because you might not hit the ground running from day one. You know, there are certain strategies where you can maybe create some income quickly by doing leases and all that.
It overly matters, but like if you can, the only thing to buy is a digital way to sign your paperwork, really. Maybe your brokerage is going to tell you like you got to buy signs, you got to buy cards, you got to buy websites. You need a website. You have to have a website. That's what I got. I wish I had a YouTube channel like this talking to me about it. You don't right away. Get on your Instagram. You can be on your Instagram right now.
He's in LA, Los Angeles.
He's in LA, so then
you got amazing scenery, right? Like just play that up.
Take photos of get the photos of the good listings. Use it as your own. If ask the other agent if you're allowed to do it, right? My brokerage doesn't care, because they just want the product sold. So maybe your brokerage feels the same way. You can't take another brokerage's agent's stuff without asking, but you can ask them.
Yeah.
My brother,
and you'll be surprised,
would ask other agents who had $1 million stuff for rental properties and be like, hey, can I advertise to bring you a buyer? And that guy's just like, sure. Like, because he just wants his product gone. So now my brother's getting guys calling him for $1 million stuff, and he's day one as an agent.
Yeah, and also like network smart. Like, don't just be throwing out business cards that everyone when you meet it comes off. Yeah, right. That's different. But I would just say just network smart. So like, you know, if your niche is going to be real estate investors, if that's one of the areas that you maybe want to get clients from, like go to the networking events, honestly, and like go to them to listen, to learn, and to talk. Don't go there to lock down clients immediately. We were at a networking event last night, and maybe you have some stories. We were playing cards at different tables. But like there were some realtors at my table, and like there was like these like little subtle,
letting everybody know that they were a realtor, and it's what gets taught in all those cookie cutter courses, kind of. But I think like if you talk to Graham on Graham's channel, long term, you just build it kind of organically. They should want to use you, not you force them to use you. So
yeah. All right, let's jump to the next.
Yeah, okay, another question. We've got a question from Jeezy.
Jeezy.
He said, what would be your first steps as a young person with limited money to get started in real estate? In parentheses, he said he hopes to invest with some family members, though.
Okay, so like, so really, if you don't have a lot of money, you really have two options that I can see. You either need to get a hold of some money or you need to make some money, right? So getting a hold of money, you know, finding friends and family to potentially partner with you is a great opportunity or a great option to get you access to the money you need. Also, you can talk to private lenders, but realistically, if you don't have any experience at all in real estate, it's going to be difficult to convince those people to get involved in real estate with you, simply because you don't have a track record, right? So one of the ways you can build up a track record without really having any money is through like wholesaling real estate, right? Or helping a real estate investor. Or maybe you can find out a way where you can like donate some time and just learn a bit, and then that'll maybe build up some confidence with your friends or family and make them more comfortable investing with you. On the other side, as far as making money in real estate without really having any money to use, you know, you could either consider becoming a realtor, all the traditional stuff, become a contractor, and that'll get you into a real estate adjacent field, and that'll really build up your knowledge base. And like, it's great as a real estate investor if you can have a niche or a part of the real estate investing cycle that you have control of, that you're an expert in. So in my case, it was kind of like money and numbers, right? Like being a CPA, being a chartered accountant, a lot of people naturally just kind of associate you as being good with money, as being, you know, very responsible and understand the numbers. And so that really helped when I was trying to find potential partners. Is just there's a certain credibility that comes with being an expert in a specific niche of the real estate market or cycle. Yep,
and I'd say if you have a local network for real estate investors, get out there, because it's just you're gonna meet the right people there. You never know, right? Maybe then you meet money partners and all that. You don't need your parents potentially, right? So.
And patience is important. Yeah. Honestly, it's not going to happen overnight, regardless of how much you wish.
Cool. We've got a couple more questions here. Get a hold of the screen name. My preferred pronoun is God. That's the guy's name.
I've seen you comment on a few of Graham's videos. Man.
Yeah, cool. So a question from him. Hi, gents. Great show so far. Can you talk about your first properties? How did you maximize capital growth in the beginning?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I'll dive into it first. So the very first property I bought was a poorly ran student rental property. I bought it when I was 25 years old. It was here in London, Ontario. I think I bought it for $173,000 at the time. It was like a quirky 6-bed, 2-bath. I kind of converted it into a 5-bed, 2-bath, which was just a lot more comfortable, and essentially just rented out some rooms to buddies. And so honestly, house hacking. You've heard Graham talk about it if you've watched his channel. I think it's his most popular video right now. And the reason that is because house hacking allows you to save so much money. So what do I mean by house hacking? It's simply the idea that, you know, you buy that house, you buy that income property, and you only live in a portion of it. And honestly, it's huge for two reasons. One, you're going to build up way more capital, right? The moment you buy that first property, you're going to start making more money, passive income, because you're going to have roommates that are going to be paying you. In addition to that, it also keeps your lifestyle in check. What happens for a lot of people, they go out there, they get that first nice new job, and now you got the nice new job, all your friends and family are pushing you to go buy a nice new car, go buy nice new furniture for your nice new house that you just bought, and it's really easy to get trapped in that cycle, and you think, oh, it's only $1,000 here, or $500 there, or $20 this night, but that all adds up, and it adds up really fast, particularly when you're starting out. Honestly, like, I think it's Dave Ramsey's quote, or it's someone's quote that's like, live like no one today so you can live like no one tomorrow, and I'm a huge believer in that, and that's where the patience comes in. But what was your first property, Jeff?
So I ended up buying a triplex and lived in the 2-bedroom basement and had 2 units above me, and sure, it was noisy and all that. Didn't know any of you guys, didn't know any of these strategies, but then I was able to live for free with the 6 tenants above me. It was a student rental as well, but the university versus the college here in London, Ontario. And yeah, it was like having a mansion full of people paying all for everything. I loved it, right? Yeah. So it is the house hacking, and then slowly picking up all the strategies we've learned to build the capital over the years is like, and like really making it a business rather than just like, because I'm sure when you first start out, you're making mistakes. And even like when I purchased the property, leases were incorrect when I got there, and like all the things you thought real estate was just going to be so perfect and it was going to be great, and it's wrong. there's always like something in a deal that's not perfect, and you get with experience you can just sort it out later. And got all the rent up super high now, and done some strategic renovations.
And so I'm curious, tell Adam in the comments section right now, are you currently house hacking, or are you considering house hacking? But we'll jump over to another question while I'm just kind of curious. So
sure, we got a couple questions from Ryan Gillis.
Hey man, what's up?
Hey guys, cheers from Ottawa. A couple questions. What are some of the main challenges you have when trying to find good tenants, and how do you overcome those obstacles?
So first of all, I just want to give a shout out to Ryan. He drove all the way down from Ottawa to join us on the Weibel limo tour. So is that in shot? Can they see that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, sweet. So yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah,
man.
and if you don't know what that is, go over to my channel. You'll see like Weibel limo. It's an investor tour we do in the city.
But so as far as trying to find good tenants, I love referrals. If you can get a referral from a friend or family member, and obviously like they need to be a trustworthy person, but that's huge. Like, let your network know. All of us have much larger networks than we realize, right? And the thing is, like, you might think like, oh, I don't want to spam my Facebook saying that I have like a 2-bed apartment for rent. But think about it from the other person's perspective, right? That person that's moving to a new city, you know, if it's like, oh, like my sister or my niece or my aunt, you know, recommended this guy who's got a 2-bed, 1-bath, and you're looking for one anyways, there's immediately some social capital there, and a much better chance to find like a win-win.
Okay, and so there's that approach, and I would also really stress screening. And now there's a list of questions you can get to ask tenants, and you can eliminate a bad tenant on the phone in 30 seconds. I'll tell you a quick story. I've had tenants that wouldn't tell me their name, right? Because like, I don't think I should have to tell you this, and I'm like, okay, I don't think you should have to rent here. So, and then there's strategic questions you can ask. We'll have to do a video on like that at one point, but like it's what kind of pets do you have? Not do you have a dog?
Yeah.
Because they can just answer yes or no. But what kind of pets do you have? Oh, we have a giant snake. And like, or do you prefer smoking or non-smoking apartments or something like that? Like Matt and I own all the smoking suites in the east, and you know, and if they say smoking, potentially you can say, well, hopefully there's no legal things going on here, but you could say, oh, I'll let you know when we're doing showings, right? Because maybe you obviously don't want a smoker in your apartment, right? So quickly you're screening tenants on the phone. Like there's a list of questions I can probably send you, Ryan, to. So anyways, good.
Yeah, I think that was pretty good.
Cool. We got another question from Spencer Murray. He said, "What jobs, if you are doing some of the renos yourself, would you outsource?"
Well, shout out to Spencer too.
Yeah.
So appreciate the watching.
What jobs would I outsource? So I guess like things that take like long term. That is where you want to go if you want to create truly passive income. But at the start, I did a lot of the work myself, and same with Adam, who's in the comment section. They're randomly interesting. We did a lot of it ourselves, but like there's certain things where you really do want an expert. Like if you don't know electrical, you either need to teach yourself electrical really, really, really well, or hire it out. I'm gonna say just hire it out.
A lot of guys do flooring these days, right?
Yeah, like flooring's easy to do yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. But like I would say, like honestly, from just like a pain in the ass factor, I personally would never want to refinish hardwood floors. I think it's a lot.
Yeah, not that. Maybe laying
floor. Find a great guy and use him and use his expertise and his experience. And then like I don't know, you know. I don't really want to roof, so I probably would outsource roofing. It's not that, you know, like depending on the roof and everything else, like it could be a relatively simple job, all things considered. But me personally, it's just not something that's my jam.
Painting?
Yeah, I think painting. You know, I wouldn't outsource it at the start if you're trying to save money. Same with like, there's a lot of basic things. Honestly, installing a dishwasher isn't nearly as scary as you thought. Like I literally did it accidentally one day where like I didn't realize that we were going to need a dishwasher until we got halfway through the day, and then like the students called us. We were doing a bunch of other things in my student rentals, and they said dishwasher's broken. Like I went over and yeah, they broke it real good. So you know, me and my dad slipped out, bought a dishwasher. We'd never replaced a dishwasher before in our lives. Like we didn't have a dishwasher on the farm, and anyways, like it wasn't that bad. You know, like if the electrical's not there again, I personally would hire out the electrical, get lined up. But as far as like connecting that, it's not that scary. But definitely like jobs where I think you can save yourself money if you have at least mild skills or you're willing to watch a few YouTube videos are laying laminate or vinyl plank floors, painting, like basic maintenance stuff, right? Like learn just very basic patching, because it can add up really quick, because that person that you're hiring out to do that one patch, they're going to have to come back multiple times, right? Because the mud needs to dry in between applications. So usually you're going to get just a flat charge. Where realistically, if you can just swing by and sand it yourself, you'll probably save yourself some money.
Good. Awesome. All right, I think we peaked out there at 27 viewers for a second.
Man, we topped it. Yes.
We're sitting at 26 right now.
And so just speaking of that,
friends.
yeah, if you can text or share, we would love to hit 30. Yeah. Last week we peaked at 26, so I'm really happy we did it. And same with, don't be afraid to smash that like button if you're enjoying
and
this.
go over to my channel too.
Yeah, and make sure you subscribe to Jeff's channel. And if you're not already subscribed to mine, I don't even know how you got here, but please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified the moment we go live next Friday at 5:30.
Awesome. Okay, question from Levy Schwartz here.
Hey, man.
Would you give away equity to an investor to take a loan from him?
So I wouldn't say no to it. Personally, I'd much rather like give equity and maybe have him contribute some money. So like, a lot of people have been asking me about my partnership structure, and I'm hoping to do a video next week on it. But the gist of it is that instead of like giving up equity for a loan, what I'm doing is giving up. I guess I'm also doing the same thing. I'm giving up equity for a short-term loan, but the goal is that we're going to pay back that loan in a short period of time, and that's what gets my partners comfortable. That's why I use the burn investing method so often. And so by that, you know, like let's say I'm buying a house for $100,000 and I need a $20,000 down payment. My partner will give us or our partnership $30,000 or $20,000 for the down payment plus the renovation budget. Let's say I'm going to spend another $20,000 on renovation, so he'll give me $40,000. We'll go in, we'll fix up the property, and then we'll refinance it, say at $150,000 valuation. So we'll get a new mortgage for $120,000, and I can pay off the $40,000 loan to my partner, and then we're left with a 50-50 equity split. That's one of the ways I've done my partnerships. So yeah, actually I was going to say no, but yeah, I guess that's exactly what I do. Your thoughts, Jeff?
No, I'm good.
All right, we got a question from Joshua. Do you recommend using personal loans for financing a property?
So just to be clear, so I'm thinking like personal loans is like maybe you're talking about like a line of credit,
unsecured,
yeah,
probably.
Unsecured debt probably.
Or I assume, yeah.
So
or there's a credit card people.
So again, like if you mean instead of getting a mortgage, using a line of credit, if you can buy property in cash, absolutely. I have partners that we do that all the time with their home equity lines of credit, particularly if you're looking at properties that are very distressed that you're not able to finance through a traditional lender. We'll do that. If you're asking about should you use a line of credit for the down payment on your property, that's a complicated answer. And so what I'm going to say is that every bank frowns upon that. There are certain ways where you could essentially have the money and then also have the line of credit, and you could use that money but then immediately draw on the line of credit afterwards. You know, that's more of a gray area because you are actually following the intention of your lender, depending on if you have the exact same lending requirements. Again, if you're not from Canada, it's going to be different, right? We're only speaking to our Canadian experiences, and we're not recommending what you guys do here. We're just telling you kind of what we've done in the past. So again, if we get sued, we're going to be so pissed at you guys. I hope that answered the question, because I know, and like you'll hear anecdotally, tons of investors do that, where they'll literally use a line of credit for the down payment on their properties. You honestly, it's a judgment value yourself. You're going to have to figure out how comfortable you are going into that gray zone and whether that risk is honestly worth it. But make sure you're really informed before you do any of that stuff, because you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, I could add, like, if you were just showing if you're just trying to do the down payment side of things, not buy the whole property, and probably have to get Spencer to text in there, but
he's going to put 50% down as a personal loan for the rest of the property, is what he said. 50% down, just getting a personal loan for the rest of the property.
Oh, yeah.
So 50-50.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd have no qualms with that. And assuming that the personal lender that you're dealing with knows what the proceeds are being used for or doesn't care, I think that sounds like a great idea. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Quick question from Bangladeshi Boy 101. How do I learn about real estate? What's the most credible way?
So there's easy internet. Like we got Bigger Pockets.
Yeah, Bigger Pockets is one of the most credible. They're really not trying to sell you a lot. You know, like they're every now and then trying to sell you a book or two. But everything I've heard about their books are fantastic. Their podcast is truly amazing.
Yeah.
If you're not listening to their podcast on a regular basis, it comes out every week, and it's usually an hour to like 2.5 hours of just pure gold. So that's fantastic.
That's free ways to do it.
And then like the gateway drug for both of us was the book
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
And so you're going to hear almost every single real estate investor say at one point in time that that book influenced them or that they read it, you know.
So buy that book, but use my affiliate link.
Because mine got shut down because apparently I don't have a big enough social following. What the fuck, Amazon?
I have a better Instagram.
But yeah, so those are great ways, as well as like there's all kinds of classics. I've talked about it on some of my favorite books before, but like I also do love The Wealthy Barber. That also talks about some real estate investing.
Millionaire Next Door.
Yeah, The Millionaire Next Door is just great for wealth building in general. There's also Gary Keller's whole series, that's all great.
Millionaire Agent or something.
Yeah, and then there's also the Millionaire Real Estate Investor.
Yeah.
That was fantastic and very system oriented, so that can be great.
It's working backwards. So whatever your goal is,
reverse engineer it. Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Cool. Yeah, we got a renovation question from Emily Moore. They just purchased their first unit. It's got horrible carpets that need to be replaced with new carpet. But she wants to know, do you think long term it makes sense to, is it a smarter investment to replace with hardwood surface? And keep in mind, they wouldn't be doing this work.
Yeah.
Right. I think usually, yes, unless this is some crazy high end property that people want carpets in their bedrooms, I guess. But yeah, for rental property, I'd go to some kind of a flooring.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I would avoid carpeting at all possible. Even if you have decent tenants, the moment, you know, you might have great tenants move in and then they get pet, and it doesn't take long. Even that pet could just be getting trained, and it can really damage your carpets. But you don't have to necessarily just go to like hardwood, right? Like you can go to vinyl planks. I love vinyl planks right now. Very versatile, very water resistant or waterproof, depending on the exact vinyl plank you get.
I've had success with my carpet cleaner guy just coming in and fixing a few things.
Like me personally, like when I can salvage carpets for a few years, I'll salvage them. I just personally wouldn't offer
for $80 you salvage it.
Maybe there's very specific situations, like you got a really cold basement, but it's very dry, and you know your tenants are constantly complaining about how cold the floors are. That again sometimes can be solved with like underpad under the vinyl plank or something else, or even building up the floor slightly. But
and for any realtors out there, I had clients that the place smelled like dog. They had dogs, so they don't smell it, and the open house bombed. Everybody said, great house, smells like dog. Anyways, I just got my carpet cleaner guy in there on the Monday morning and had it offered by Monday afternoon.
And so Emily, we also hope you're enjoying the ERE book. I don't think it's in frame here, but hope you're enjoying that. So,
question from Stefan. Are there lenders in Canada that will have a mortgage term for less than 6 months? He's trying to avoid paying penalties when he pulls out equity before 6 months.
Yes, like you can get like a true open, and the thing is you're going to pay a very high interest rate compared to what currently is. The thing is though, again, like talk to your specific banker and make sure you fully understand, but there are certain products that I've been told that are like a 6-month period, but you're actually allowed to break it 3 months early without penalties. And different things like that. So just get really into the minutia. And when you're not sure, or it doesn't seem like your banker's 100% sure, make them send you an email exactly laying out what you understand it to be. Just because it's really unfortunate when you sign on the dotted line and then 3 months from now, when you actually go to break that mortgage, whether it's through a refinance or you sell the property, it can be extremely frustrating to find out that what you were told in a conversation turns out not to be what you signed in the legal contract. And honestly, when you sit down to the lawyers to sign all those documents, and when you sit down with the bank to sign all those documents, there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's very easy to not read through everything, right? I doubt if there's been a single person that's ever read word for word every single document.
I had a client once.
Word for
she
word.
She would have read the iTunes sign up thing.
I just well, good for them. Like theoretically, you should know everything you signed.
The sun went down.
A couple times, I feel like it would have been like but yeah, so there probably are options, and if for whatever reason you're not able to find any options, credit unions can sometimes be a great opportunity because they're going to be far more relationship oriented. Same with private lenders, could be interesting too, but you may end up paying a lot higher interest rate with that private lender, so you're just going to have to do a cost benefit analysis on what's your best choice. One last option, if you have a lot of real estate, you can get what's called like a portfolio loan, in which case you can just draw upon that based off your whole portfolio at times. And so a lot of real estate investors, once they get up to 10, 20 properties, at least in Canada, they'll have a portfolio loan, and they're able to just pull randomly on that equity, and those buy a property in cash, and then either just add it as part of their portfolio loan, or they'll then segment it out once they've done whatever renovations they're working on.
Right on. We've got another question from Christopher here. Hey Matt, hey guys, Jeff, love the video. I'm wondering how you screen potential tenants and how as a younger guy you establish respect when dealing with older tenants.
It definitely can be a challenge.
Yeah, and we kind of covered it a little bit. Like, it's just going through your checklist. Like, he's an older tenant, great. Does he have a job? Like, you maybe that's just an intimidation factor for you at that point.
Yeah.
And that's a good question, because in your landlording career, you're going to be the young person at one time, then you're going to be the middle, you're going to be the older person. And now, like, I'm talking to 20-year-olds when I was, like, at that one point, you know, and then eventually, like...
One thing I kind of like about being young is people will consistently underestimate you. And so the nice thing is, just get them chatting. Honestly, I don't know how many tenants have told me terrible things about what they've done and what they've done to previous landlords just because I was friendly and started chatting them up, right? And so, like, as a younger person, when you're, like, interviewing them in person, when you're showing them the unit, I wouldn't be afraid to just be like, oh, like, you know, I'm just new to landlord and stuff. Have you ever had a bad landlord? And then just listen to them go off, right? And if it turns out they've only ever had bad landlords, that may be a pattern. And kind of, there's a popular saying, if you walk into a room and it's full of assholes, odds are you're actually the asshole. So, like, I've had a lot of tenants where, like, it became very clear that they've only ever had negative experiences with their landlords. And, like, I'm not talking they had one bad landlord. I'm talking they've been renting for 20 years and they've only ever had bad landlords. And it's like, you know what? I don't see how I'm going to be that different in order to avoid having a bad relationship with them as well. So, honestly, like, when your gut, when your intuition's telling you, like, when just all the facts aren't adding up, don't go against your intuition in that situation. So I would say just get them chatting.
Call their previous landlords.
Yeah, always check references.
So.
And, like, the thing is, people can fake references. So, like, don't just, like, call and be like, you know, was Joe a good tenant? Yes. Okay, click. Like, get them talking, right? Like, oh, whereabouts did Joe rent from you again? Like, oh, and what was he renting? And then double check with Joe, or have spoken to Joe before that to know exactly what those details are. Again, you'll be surprised how few people, like, when they're trying to screw you over with a reference, won't even put in the effort to properly screw you over. So,
yeah. Right on. We had another question from Ryan Gillis, actually. Do you guys see a need for an Airbnb type platform for long-term rentals?
Like, I definitely think it's interesting. I think that we're going to see more and more Facebook communities that are going to start serving that purpose, or, like, other types of communities like that. You know, there are a few websites already that are trying to, like, not Airbnb exact, but similar. Like, I think you would need a critical mass in order to get a bunch of landlords signing up in order to, like, where literally the transactions processed through the website provider. I think that it would be interesting. I definitely haven't seen anyone really try and go on that large of a scale. But I think, you know, before Airbnb, we had a lot of, like, executive rentals, which were like, short term, but not, like, a couple days, but maybe a couple weeks or a couple months. And I think Airbnb will definitely start leaning more and more towards that, just because that's another niche that they can focus on. So yeah, at the same time, if you're going to start one up, Ryan, feel free and let us know.
Right on. We had another question from Emily Moore. She said, seeing how many units you have you thought about a number company, or is it all just all units personal? Yeah, so I do have a numbered company. Again, it's very situational, so you need to really talk to an accountant or a lawyer, or really have a firm understanding of that. So this isn't advice, this is just me talking about my personal experience. Right now, I have probably half, maybe 65% of my portfolio is personally in my name or partners' names, and the other portion would be in a numbered company. And going forward, I will probably set up other numbered companies to buy properties, and it's not because buying in a numbered company is that great of an advantage, particularly, I mean, with what's kind of being proposed for taxes, it's definitely not going to be an advantage in the future. But what happens is you get to a certain point in Canada, frequently once you hit 5 to 10 mortgages, the banks really don't want to lend to you anymore personally. So you set up a corporation and then you personally guarantee it, and all of a sudden they're fine with it. And so it's really just about following along with the rules, the recipe that the bank's making for you. And so, long story short, yes, I do have a numbered company, but no, I'm not suggesting everyone go out today and start up a numbered company if they want to be a real estate investor. And so currently Jeff owns just personal.
Just personal, yeah.
Okay, right on. Question
I have Weibo Acquisitions, and we're but that's not an Ontario number company.
Yeah.
So.
And doesn't own real estate.
No, it does some flips in it. Wide acquisitions.
Okay.
Check it out.
Wait,
all right.
I know what I did.
Okay.
You're looking at me like that's wrong.
I didn't. Okay.
Okay, question from Nick. Have you considered or do you currently have commercial property?
So just to define commercial property, sometimes like bankers use it differently. So some people will refer to commercial property as anything as 6 units or larger in Canada. But usually what people mean is something with like a business in it, some sort of business renting from you. So currently I do not own any commercial property by that definition. The definition of businesses renting from you, I definitely have looked at it. I've made multiple offers on properties, just haven't found the right deal and the right combination. And I'll definitely continue looking going forward. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not easy to purchase either. Totally different than.
So yeah, at least in Canada, again, you're often going to need a bigger down payment, and it might even be a more thorough borrowing process. So that's something to be aware of, and a higher interest rate.
Look at last night we were talking to that guy.
He's talking about like 8 or more units, like a low-rise apartment.
So like I own like a converted building that has approximately 21 bedroom bachelor apartments. So technically it fits that definition, but me and Jeff currently are really focusing on trying to buy some 12 plexes here in southwestern Ontario. Again, we just haven't found the right opportunity yet, but we're constantly negotiating and putting in offers, so fingers crossed soon.
Yeah, if you guys know anything, let us know.
Yeah, feel free to hook us up.
We'll build you into the deal.
Yeah.
Nick's agreeing with you and saying there's a much bigger upside value on the refi too, right? With the bigger property.
Definitely, if you can find undervalued units, those 8 units there, you can
it just scales, right?
Put in 8 dishwashers and fix it all up. Yeah, you can pull your money back.
And like there is a certain attraction, like it's the reason Grant Cardone goes on his big rants and stuff. Is you do just have one roof. You do like often it's just able to centralize your whole process a lot more, so it is very attractive. And I think you do see a lot of real estate investors kind of go through a progression, right? They buy a property and it's turnkey, that works out fine for them. Then maybe they burr a property or get student rental and cash flows a bit more. Then they start buying larger multifamilies, and then they eventually start buying commercial properties like you're asking about. And it's just, again, I think simplicity for managing their investments and their total equity and assets.
Right on. Bangladeshi Boy 101 had another question. What kind of house is good to buy for the first try?
One that cash flows.
Yeah. If you can live for free, that's amazing, right?
Yeah. So yeah, if you're buying it to like live in, I really think you want to try and minimize your personal expenses, particularly if you're going to try and save up a lot more money to buy the next property. And on the flip side of that, if it's just going to be a rental, like just a straight up rental property, personally, I'd be attracted to cash flow or the ability to burr it, and ideally both.
Right on.
Yep.
Get some more questions going, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's get the chat going.
So guys, like, let us know where are you currently looking, and can you find the 1% rule in your market? I'm really curious about that. So
any questions out there? Any realtor questions? Hit it up.
We did have a comment actually from Brian Q a little while ago to that note. It's not really a question, but maybe you guys could talk a little bit about it. He's in Metro Vancouver. He's got $600K in equity. The cost of rentals has outpaced the rent. Would love to do what you're doing in London with the BRRRR strategy. Just doesn't seem to have any positive cash flow out here. So maybe you can talk about how you could find BRRRR properties.
So so I think it comes down to you really have 2 options, right? You either need to scrape your market so hard that you eventually find that amazing deal, and in a market like Vancouver, I don't think you're ever going to find that on the MLS or Realtor.ca.
He's in Metro Vancouver.
So I think that you're going to have to either really get hardcore about private deals and like to the point where you're going to have to make that a full-time grind or find a great wholesaler. More realistically, I think that you probably start investing outside of your market, right?
You're investing in appreciation in Vancouver. There's going to be no way you're cash flowing there. So.
But the guys on Bigger Pockets say all the time, and I agree with it, that within a 4 to 5 hour drive of probably anywhere in the continental North America, you could find properties that meet the 1% rule or get close enough that they'll cash flow for you. So I think it's really going to come down. You just need to, is cash flow the only priority of yours for real estate investing?
Or appreciation.
Yeah.
Right? So.
And if it is cash flow, then I would highly consider looking to invest outside of where you live.
Yeah.
And again, two options: either become an extreme expert in another market, or find an expert and partner with them is probably the best.
Like
suggestion.
actually, you can cash flow in Vancouver with Airbnb.
That's probably the angle. Yeah.
So okay, yeah. Actually, there's people I know that are doing this. They've negotiated in Vancouver with a landlord who owns the property. They're renting the property, and then they're Airbnb-ing and they're the tenants, and they're Airbnb-ing the space. So if you could ever do that, that's no money down Airbnb-ing. So
that's actually a really awesome thing, and that's something that a buddy of ours, Michael Rosehard, frequently talks about, which is rent hacking. So earlier in this show, we were talking about house hacking, but rent hacking is exactly what Jeff just said, where you figure out a way where either you can rent for free, and the way you do that is you rent out that 5-bedroom house, you live in one. Let's say that 5-bedroom house rents out for $2,000 a month, you live in 1 bedroom, and you rent out the other 4 for $500 a month. You're now living for free.
And you just be upfront with the landlord, you tell them what you're doing, or else you're just going to get screwed later on.
But you explain to the landlord, I'm going to be on the hook no matter what, but I want the ability to either sublet or have friends or roommates move in and pay me.
Even like your student rentals over the summer, if ever one of my tenants came up to me and said, "Can I sublet for more money?" I would be like, "Good on you, man." Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Go for it.
Like, your landlord, they've done their calculation. They want the rent that they want.
Yeah.
Maybe after they see you doing it, would they maybe next year turn it into an Airbnb? There is that risk. But at the same time, there's maybe a potential for a partnership there, right? Like a lot of people just don't have the time. And so often, again, if you don't have the money, but you got the time, find people that got the money but don't have the time to do this, right? And become that expert and partner with them.
Cool. We got a great segue to another question you guys were kind of getting to. Another one from my preferred pronoun is God. Do lenders recognize a good percentage of Airbnb income? What kind of history of income would you need to show?
Probably.
Truth be told, I have no idea. That's an amazing question.
Spencer, but I think that's going to be self-employed income, and even super don't touch self-employed income that they're going to be really scrutinizing.
Yeah, so if it was self-employed income, if that's what they consider it to be, you're probably going to need 2-year history for them to really start to take that seriously. But again, you're going to need to talk to them, and especially with something that's so new, or at least new to bankers, you need to get that written, right? I want you to get an email from your banker. Your banker's like, "Yep, no problem. Buy that place, Airbnb it, prove us 3 months income, and we'll use that on your next application when you go buy another property." Make sure you get that in writing, because I would not trust that. But I could see you having that conversation where the banker just tells you what you want to hear, or where your realtor tells you what you want to hear, just so that they can make that sale or they can get that mortgage. And I'd hate to see someone get burned and not understand that. But that's actually a fantastic question. I'm going to be asking someone that next week.
Got a question from Charlie Brown Doobie. He wants to know, are BRRRR properties readily available in London?
Yeah, they definitely are. It's going to depend on really what your exact criteria are, but we're frequently buying houses literally on Realtor.ca. I'm going to be having a video coming out on this property sometime, and anyways, we bought it off Realtor.ca, and we paid $5,000 more than what they were asking, and we BRRR'd it, and it was actually my most successful BRRRR to date. So yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we bought one at least quarterly, or
off Realtor.ca.
Or we've seen them and we were close.
And that's ignoring the private deals that we're frequently getting in front of, right? And so I think we were discussing it earlier this week. We went and saw that one property in the Old East Village, and you definitely could BRRRR it. It's just one of those things where you're it might be slim margin, right? But that's literally a property just sitting there on the market, right? It's just waiting for someone to come in and BRRRR it.
Yeah.
Cool. We've got a question from Joshua. Is it a good idea to make tenants pay monthly fees for appliances? I've seen other properties in the area doing this, usually $25 each.
So I'm sure he's talking about added air conditioner, or added.
Oh, okay, yes.
Freezer. Basically in our leases that I have, and I think you use the same ones. There's a clause that says the tenant has to tell the landlord pretty much if he's adding extra appliances, and yes, there can be a fee on it, because they start plugging in 6 beer fridges in every room. It's gonna add up, right? So that's if you can lay that law down, I would go for it.
And same with, so that being said too, rather than charging a specific fee, right? Often what I'll do is add laundry and dishwashers to a unit that maybe doesn't have it. frequently I'm doing it when no one's living there, so I just bump up my rent. But you could sit down with your tenant and say, look, you currently don't have a dishwasher or laundry. I'm willing to add it, but I'll charge you a separate fee for adding it, or we're going to increase your rent because this is an actual improvement to the property. And so that's another option.
Because we can't, in Ontario, we can't raise the rent, but if you
without
had that,
reason.
if you had that conversation with them, then there you go, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so otherwise, yeah, it's very common if you're paying the utilities and they're going to put in like a window shaker, is what we call it, those little AC units that hang in the window. I would want to charge for it because it's definitely going to run.
I know I drive by my properties and see if they're cheating, right? And
same.
if they've done it. And I'm like, okay. I just can't wait till the one day I see it and knock on the door, right? Hey, what's going on in your bedroom over there?
Yeah. Brian, you had a question. This is maybe about forming a network. Suggestions to hook up with others in other parts of the country. Any suggestions on like networking, I guess?
Well, there's professional ones out there.
Yeah.
Like
Your
REIT, Real Estate Investment Network, which has chapters, I guess, whatever, in Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, and sometimes in Ottawa. And you can be on their website and all that. It's kind of like Bigger Pockets. You pay. They don't really. There's not as much. Again, they're not making you pay the minimum fee, and then there's the $10,000 weekend that only the preferred people can go to. Like they don't have that, so that's pretty good on that part. And then I guess like do it yourself, like make a group or something.
Yeah, like
Facebook groups.
Facebook is so easy to create a group, and like, you know, if you don't put a lot of effort in, you're not going to get a lot of reward from it, but if you put in the effort, you can get tons. Honestly, I created a Facebook group here for London, Ontario. It's a private group just because I didn't want to get really spammy, but essentially, like, I just post a lot, like, originally to get the conversation started, I would just post local news articles from our London Free Press website, and then just ask landlords their opinions and get that get that conversation.
Yeah, you had some good ones this week. So.
Yeah, and so otherwise, Jeff kind of touched upon it, but Bigger Pockets is literally the biggest network of real estate investors that I'm aware of in the world. As well, they feature every week on their podcast a different guest from somewhere in North America, usually, who's doing the realtor thing, so that can also be huge. Yeah, I think those are probably, that's the ones I'd suggest. Like, we went to the Real Estate Wealth Expo. I mean, like, if you're brand new to it and you just want rah, those expos or those big conferences can be worthwhile. But as far as, like, actually trying to meet people that are actually doing shit, it's way harder.
I can't remember if it was on a video or live last week, but Kellen and Dylan, we'll give them a shout out. Like, they were at the Wealth Expo and they were talking. Right, it was like 9 a.m. and they're talking, and this place must have had like 10,000 people in the place, right? Or I don't know. Yeah. It was insane.
No, yeah, it was supposed to be 15,000 total there.
And they're talking, and they're just because the speaker was saying something, so it reminded them to talk about something in real estate. So they started talking. And these people turn around and they're like, "Can you keep it down? We're trying to learn about real estate." And like, meanwhile, 2 seconds later, like, "Put your hands up if you're."
If you own one property. And so we all got our hands up, and it's like, keep your hands up if you own more than 5 properties. Hands are still up. Keep your hands up if you own more than 10 properties. And it's just like, is it better to listen?
That couple was like, hands down, right? I'm like, that couple would have had better advice turning around talking to Dylan and Kellen than they would the guy who was just like, you should buy real estate tomorrow, like, or Monday morning, go buy real estate.
Who's not even from Ontario.
Yeah, it was. They bring in the dragons and all that to rah everybody up, and it's great. Like I said to you guys when we were going down there, we're gonna get more value being in the hall.
Yeah,
and, like, you stay out of
and me and Jeff spent a lot.
I spent like
the
whole day in the hall just talking to people, and like, yeah, we're gonna go in for this. I'm like, okay, go, and then like just keep, because like you can have an actual conversation out in the hall. So if you're ever in those rain or you go into the Wealth Expo, stay in the hall.
Yeah, and so actually, like, talking about meeting and networking with other landlords or real estate investors across the country, a friend of ours recently drove across Canada, Michael Rosehart, and he met up with all kinds of different local landlords along his journey in Saskatchewan and Alberta and wherever else.
It's like a pilgrimage.
And so I think that, like, that's a great idea. If you're going to do, like, a road trip or you're going on vacation, why not look up local real estate investment network in that area, or find a Facebook group that has landlords.
We're going to LA to talk with other investors and agents and YouTubers.
Hopefully when we're in LA we can convince Graham to do a meetup or whatever, and we'll network with anyone
and
in
they're
LA.
Gonna be like, I can't cash flow in LA.
And we're going to say we can't appreciate like LA.
Okay, we got a renovation question from Stefan. He wants to know, when using a contractor for rehabbing, would you recommend buying the materials or having the contractor be responsible for that? Perhaps you could mention some pros and cons.
Yeah, there's a lot to consider with that. You know, I'm going to operate under the assumption that you don't really know this contractor and you don't have a lot of referrals from him. You know, it may be different if he's an amazing guy, you know him personally, or it may be different if they're an amazing business and they're highly recommended from every landlord you've ever met. But in general, if you just hired some rando off of Craigslist or Kijiji, me personally, I'd rather buy the materials direct than give them money to buy the materials. Because what you're going to find is a lot of contractors then are going to say, okay, but you need to give me the money first so I can go buy the materials. And what often happens is the ones that aren't as good at business, they end up always using the money you gave them for their last project so they can get that last project done. And then when it's time to do your project, they don't have any money. So then they go find the next guy and get that guy's money to do your project. And so you're constantly playing this game of chasing them and being like, man, like you said you were going to be here Monday and it's Wednesday now. Like, what's going on?
And one of the guys in our network too, Sean Allen, I know he uses direct buy. And that's like a wholesaling, like he gets discount. It's not like the Home Depot or something like that. It's direct buy, so he can like order an insane amount of doors or cabinets or whatever, and like that's like a different level. So then he just gives them to his contractor to do the renovations. So, options.
And same with like for materials, you know, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know I love what I call strategic renovations. So a lot of the kitchens, appliances, and that sort of stuff at one of my projects is actually going to be like secondhand, right? We're buying it from Kijiji, or we're going to the Goodwill store or Habitat for Humanity, and we're actually buying a kitchen that was in someone else's house that's been uninstalled. We buy it, then we put it into my place, install it, and then usually just throw a new countertop on. It looks like a brand new kitchen, particularly if you paint it. So personally, that contractor, when you ask them to go buy a used kitchen, they're not going to do it. It's too much hassle and work. And so you're going to have to do it yourself anyways. And same with when you're buying used appliances, you know, they're going to buy the first white stove they see rather than negotiate and stuff. So again, I personally would rather buy it. But that's very specific to my business model.
Yeah. IKEA too? Good option.
Yeah. IKEA's great too. Yeah, IKEA's great, especially their kitchens. You know, Adam, who's running the comment section right now, the apartment that we did together for him, like, it's a beautiful IKEA kitchen that like Adam just designed all himself, just on the website.
Like top listings.
Yeah.
Builders.
You'd be shocked.
IKEA. Exactly. Yeah. You'd be shocked. They spray paint shit in gold, $1 spray paint at the, and then and it's an IKEA
like
product.
$1 million homes.
$1 million homes have IKEA. And from what I know from my contractors, it's just because it's cheaper because the other people are so much more expensive because they don't have the volume that IKEA has, right?
Absolutely.
So don't ever knock IKEA. Like, it's like, you know, people make fun of it. Oh, it's an IKEA kitchen or shit.
Yeah.
No, top $1 million listings have IKEA in it.
Absolutely.
One coming to London too.
Yeah.
One's coming to the south end of London.
2019, they're gonna have the big one.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
and we have a hub or something right now.
Yeah, so yeah, there's gonna be a Costco and an IKEA all moving to the same area, and so like that's one of those things that can transform an area, right? Because kind of that area of South London right now has just been kind of sitting there waiting for a big, you know, tentpole retailer, and I think that that's going to really transform the city.
Yeah. All right, we got a question from Nick. Have either of you ever been successful at recouping money from tenants for major damages?
We both have student rentals, so we know major damages.
I got lucky. Like, there was a little bit of damage in one of mine once. I don't have as rough of places as you do think. Like,
not as rough.
Well, no, rough.
I have Fanshawe student rentals.
Like, they normally don't. Okay, I guess I can't even.
And my parents are like 30 years old.
Hopefully she's not watching, but I've had doctors punch holes in my wall, so you can never like really think like students versus professional tenant. But I remember having a girl give me a damage deposit, which is not allowed in Ontario, but she gave it to me, so I can't ask for it, right? And then she never asked for it back. So like her cat like scratched the walls and broke the blinds a bit, and it was one of those things, and she never asked for her deposit back because she knew. But like for the student rental sort of thing, if you do, you just go after the parents.
Yeah, you get those parents
they don't
to sign
want anything,
guarantor forms.
Yeah, you start messing with their credit, and like where we live in London, Ontario, And if they're from Toronto area, they're probably potentially well off, and they do not want their credit messed with. So usually, but
yeah,
you're gonna have to speak to the bachelor kind of units on. That would be
well. So I was gonna say more specifically, like my lowest income properties, where like the tenants are going to be lower income. I've definitely never recouped 100% of my costs. There's been a few times where I've been given a token amount, but it's not significant. It's honestly a cost of doing business, and I factor in high repairs.
Did you not have feces in one of your places at one point?
Yeah, no, like dude literally shit all over the hallway and just moved out that way. And then he literally came, oh my god, yeah. Jeez. So this guy literally shit all over the hallway, moved out, and then forgot a bag of shit and wanted it back. Not a bag of literal shit, a bag of his stuff. And I was like, you gotta be kidding. Talk to my property manager.
You still have that?
And I was just like, and he's like, yeah. And I was like, are you kidding me? You shit all over my hallway. Contact my property manager. He'll arrange it for you. I never want to see you again in my life. That was a bad story.
I think it's not to get emotional on like he owes you.
Don't take it personal.
$400. Like take it as business. You got that guy out, which is like probably the greatest thing you can do. And then the beauty about those bachelors, like for a small amount of dollars, you get them back up into shape and potentially renting for higher.
And it's all just cost of doing business. But I just want to talk for a little bit on the student rental side, because we have been very successful at collecting often. Not like there's been a few times where we've collected 100% of the damages they've done, but regularly where we're hitting 70-75%, which is honestly pretty good. Like we're honestly very proud of it. Same with like in London, Ontario, and other student areas in Ontario at least, it's not uncommon to have a lot of fines implemented by the city, right? So garbage fines, grass fines, all those things. And frequently we've been able to collect that from the students as well, where, you know, the students just left a whole bunch of furniture on the yard when it wasn't a garbage day. And the city of London, they're going to give you like a I think it's almost like $400 fine now for it.
And there's definitely areas where they just attack you.
Yes. Yes.
So
Fleming, Thurman, Farnsborough, you know, Prosperity.
I put a couch out at where I live. They're not saying anything, right? Yeah. Well, I guess the neighbors might call, but your area, they're doing drive-bys.
But yeah, but so for, like I've had tenants do, I don't know the exact numbers anymore. It's been a while, but like I think they did maybe $2,000 or $2,500 in damages. They broke a bunch of doors, just wrecked a lot of drywall, shot. Oh, people that shoot metal BBs at drywall, you are evil. What is wrong with you? Why? Why? It takes forever. Like, you pretty much should just rip out the drywall if it's just a wall of Oh, it makes me so angry. But so, I think they did about $2,000 in damage, and we collected $1,600. And it honestly wasn't even about the money. It was the, like, yeah.
Like, I've never punched a hole in drywall. And I've never kicked a door with no lock on it, like, for no reason.
Who does that?
Just like...
yeah.
Dan Warren knows about those ones.
Yeah.
Stories too. Yeah, he's in the chat room here.
Dan Warren would have a million war stories.
Yeah, Dan, tell us your worst story.
All right, we've got another, actually a really fitting question. We're just over the 1 hour mark. We've got 25 viewers right now and 25 likes right now. So maybe you guys want to get out there and share.
Yeah, we would if you could just share this 5 times and we get 5 more people, hit 30, it would just be such an ego boost.
Dan,
for us.
share this.
Right?
Some girl's gonna see this.
All right, so we got a fitting question here from Charlie Brown Doobie. Thoughts on being a landlord with pot being legalized in the new year? People are going to be allowed to grow indoors, I assume.
So honestly, you're gonna want to talk to your insurance company about that and get a thorough understanding of it. Again, I don't know what the exact legislation is going to be as far as what people can grow, and I'm not sure what the legalities behind being able to grow it indoors. The key is, you know, if it's not illegal, you would hope that they're not trying to do it secretively, so they're going to be able to put it in a better ventilated area, which causes a lot of the problems.
Yeah, I maybe get ahead of the curve. Be that guy. Charge double the rent for that guy to do it.
But double check with the insurance company. They can be touchy about that.
Have them pay the hydro and pay double rent.
Yes, that's a huge thing. So actually, that's kind of scary now. Think about your hydro bills.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, yeah. If you're always
box there, right?
Yeah.
And the problem is we write anything on a lease, it doesn't matter.
But so like
no pot.
For example, yeah, and you're not going to be able to enforce anything like that, particularly in a tenant-friendly environment like Ontario. But at the same time, like in general, you know, like as long as our tenants aren't damaging our properties, we overly don't want to get involved in their personal lives. We want to give them free reign, right?
Yeah.
They've rented a property from us. They're legal adults, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an interesting question. I appreciate
Except
that.
for Christmas cards and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so someone must have shared it. We were up to 27 there.
Thank you guys.
We're up to
Yeah,
32 likes now, so a few of these viewers
Awesome.
must have liked us. We got another question from Bangladeshi Boy 101. What mistakes did you make in your early career, and what did you learn from them?
Yeah.
Mistakes, I think I covered it a bit earlier. Just trusting the whole system, thinking real estate was easy. Like, just like, oh, I'm going to the lawyer's office, so I'm buying this property, so everything has to be perfect. And then when I get to the property, it wasn't what they promised, and or like something happened. Like, every deal is different, so something late happens. So now, what have I learned from it? Just being able to adapt. It's never going to be perfect. And I think when you're, like, we got guys that are always looking for turnkey and all that, and they just want everything perfect, and it's going to be the perfect property, and it's like, that guy's going to buy it, and then, like, there's going to be, like, an east trough that's broken, and he's going to be like, this is the end of the world. Like, and then we're going to be like, calm down.
Honestly,
just don't walk off the ledge. We're going to solve this. And, like, anyways.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, one of the biggest mistakes I just think I see in general, see a lot of newbie real estate investors make is, expecting, like Jeff kind of said, for things to be perfect, but secondly, like, just not factoring in some variances, right? Like, if honestly, if that broken eaves trough ruins this investment property for you, I don't think it was a good deal to begin with. So I think that you need to go back to your numbers and understand your numbers better. So I honestly think that it's more about knowing your numbers, and I think a lot of people just, you know, you get excited by the idea, and once you just get heated in negotiations, often you can get.
Can they see that, Adam?
This? Yeah, oh yeah.
So ready, shoot, aim, okay? Like, pull the trigger and sort it out later. Don't, if you're lining up your shot for a year, you're never going to pull the trigger. Get close, shoot, and then sort out any problems later.
Yeah, me and my one biggest money partner, we frequently joke these days that there's no such thing as a big deal in real estate. Like, and by a big deal, I mean like a big mistake. You know, I do think you can get into some scary shit with septic tanks and foundations and structural issues, but outside of those huge things, which are honestly very easy to know if you know what you're looking for or if you're hiring a competent property inspector, there aren't critical errors. And so I guess, like, me personally, I actually have a whole video that's like 20 minutes long that talks about my 3 biggest mistakes I made in real estate, and I even talk about kind of how I would have done things differently. Me personally, the one that really always sticks out is when I was 27 or 28, myself, Adam, and another business partner, Adam being randomly interested in the comment section, we tried to buy 2 student rentals in 1 year, and the bank just said no. And we were like, oh, well, you know, we gave it a best.
Nice shot.
And then
guess I'll go back to my job.
Right? And the bank said, go make more money at your job, and then we'll give you another loan. And so, like, I literally changed careers and got a new job and made more money in order to, like, do that. And then I did get the loan, but then it turned out I talked to other more experienced real estate investors, and they told me, like, oh, no, I could have got another mortgage in that situation. And you're just like, but the bank said no.
Teach me what you know.
Right? And it turns out, like, if you get that first no, just change the question. Find out what you need to get that yes. If you're going to take your first no and just quit every time, you're never going to win. So that was my biggest mistake, was when I was 27 or 28, could have bought 2 student rentals instead of 1. I probably would have started, like, doubling down and getting much bigger, much faster. Instead, I took 2 years off of real estate because of that. So yeah, that's definitely the biggest mistake. I know that doesn't sound like a big mistake, but so otherwise, just hiring bad contractors or bad property managers when you knew that they weren't going to be great, but you're just trying to use it as a stopgap measure. I've definitely done it in the past, and I'm sure I'm going to do it in the future, but it's something that I'm trying to improve on and trying to constantly learn from. So
cool. We've got a kind of a situation. Triggs 13 is brought up. He said he just bought his property. There was a few problems that were never disclosed to him, and he wants to know if it's possible to be reimbursed for it. So it sounds like he had an issue with rodents, that the tenants had told the previous seller they didn't do anything. It sounds like they got into the water, and he got water damage and stuff in his property. And he wants to know if there's any kind of repercussions or any sort of
your lawyer's going to be like,
reimbursement.
yes, we're going to go after these guys for not telling us this or something, or like, But I don't know. I think it's a cost of business at this point.
And again, it's going to depend on your legal environment. So
Yeah.
we're only going to be talking about our experiences in Ontario, Canada. But sorry, continue.
Yeah, like, did you? It's tough because when people are listing a property, if I was the agent listing and he doesn't, tell you about anything like that's not visual, pretty much. I don't know, right? So if there was mice behind the walls, I'll never know.
He's in St. Catharines.
Okay, that's good to know. So honestly, like, my experience has been, unless it was extensive damage, like, I mean, like, if it's riddled with bed bugs and there's just no way the landlord couldn't have known,
or did you not talk to the tenants? Like,
but like,
always talk to tenants.
Like, people make mistakes, but so like one way to try and avoid that in the future is to sit down and talk to the tenants when you're viewing the property.
They'll tell you everything.
Often, literally, what me and Jeff will do is, like, you know, I'm going to look at the property, Jeff's going to talk to the tenants, and Jeff, like, and if we got the tenants there and they're chatty, Jeff won't even walk around the property with me because he's too busy mining them for information. And also, it's great for also, like, getting different things that you can trade, right, once you get into negotiations. But more specifically, back to your question, I haven't seen a lot of examples in my personal experience where people were able to successfully get reimbursed. You can always ask, though. There's literally no harm in asking. The place I would start is literally ask your real estate agent and
talk to the other guy, and then see what happens.
And then otherwise, as far as ways to maybe find out in the future or avoid houses that maybe are infested with rodents and stuff, great spots to look are under sinks. Under sinks, like, look for their feces or look for active signs. Look for, like, little gnaw marks, right? Same with if you go into the basement, often you maybe can see, like, they've been gnawing or chewing on the wires or something like that. And also if you're dealing with, like, your raccoons and things like that, going up into the attic and just looking around can often really give you a good understanding of what's going on. But the best way to know if it's infested with pests is to talk to the tenants.
Right. And realtor-wise, if I was your realtor and you came to me with that, and it's happened to me before on different things with literally, like, they took something off the wall, just a shelf, and then there's holes, and then they're calling me being like, they moved out roughly pretty much, and, you know, my clients are mad. And like, potentially you're going to be buying income properties with your realtor for the next 20 years, right? I immediately was like, can I come help? And like I don't do that, but like, that's a service I was ready to do as a realtor, even though, like, just to solve the problem as a realtor. So, ask your realtor, maybe he'll come and help you out or chip in for the rodent stuff, because if you're going to be long-term with this guy, that's a good thing to do, right? Like, I would help you.
Yeah, and, like, you know, like I said, there's no harm in asking, but also figure out what your actual total expense and costs are, right? Like, in my personal opinion, if we're talking under $1,000, I would probably do an ask or a soft ask, but after that, I would probably let it die and just focus on doing my thing and getting my property up and running. It really does sound like a shitty situation, though, particularly, I think you said it was your first property, so that hurts extra, and I definitely understand that.
We'll get over it.
We empathize, but I would just move forward rather than dwelling too long. If it's really serious, then absolutely take whatever recourse you think is necessary.
It sounds like there's money to be made if there's rats running around, so get those out and up the value. So.
Right on. Michael posted basically a blog post a couple minutes ago. He's 19, he owns 3 properties, and he's trying to get his 4th property. He's got one that he got a HELOC on, so he was able to access some of that credit. But basically, he's unemployed, so he has no, like, T4 income, or he's American, so it's a W-2. He wants to know, you know, should he form his own corporation so that he could start to show some of that, like, government type income.
So again, this isn't going to be specific advice. This is going to be generic advice. And again, we don't know the U.S. lending environment the same way we know Canada, and specifically Ontario, Canada. But, you know, in Ontario, setting up the corporation probably wouldn't hurt you from a lending perspective, but it's not going to really strengthen you either. Maybe, like, if you can find a co-signer, that frequently can be a workaround.
He's got a portfolio to show right now. I think an amazing option is to start joint venturing at this point.
Yeah, like, you have the...
You're 19 and you have 3. You can go to...
It's a sexy story, sell it.
35-year-olds and be like, look at my portfolio making money, let's get the 4th one. And then that 35-year-old cannot say, well, what have you done, kid?
Yeah, and the way to, like, really build that partnership, or, like, the way to find those partners is, like Jeff said, I would look for kind of middle-aged guys, or, like, middle-aged professionals that are, you know, like the desk jockeys, accountants, lawyers, all that, that like maybe they're too busy doing their main hustle that they can't have the time to go and become an expert in real estate. You're clearly already either an expert or becoming an expert, so you take their money, your time and expertise, put it together, and it's your recipe for success. The other opportunity is like find small business owners again, right? Often they're too busy on their main hustle, their main business, but if they're making great money at the main business, they do want to diversify it, and they understand the value in diversifying it. So yeah,
that helps.
My suggestion would be,
and keep up talking with us. I'm really interested
you sound
to
like
see
you got a
your
great
journey,
story.
So.
Yeah.
What state? Can you ask him?
Yeah, he hasn't been overly active yet, but let's see if he responds.
It'd be interesting to know like what state.
Yeah, and also like honestly, if you're 19, you've got 3 properties, and like you're self-built, I would say like you should start building kind of a social presence. Like it sounds like you're crushing it. If you want to take it to the next level, I wouldn't be afraid to start dabbling on YouTube or Instagram, or maybe it's writing blog posts if you really enjoy writing. But that's a great way to, again, start building even deeper credentials and social proof for when you do go and start talking to those money partners, right? It's always very helpful, I think.
We got another question from Emily Moore. Have you thought about buying a cottage and renting it out? That's her goal, and then she thought she'd have a perfect place to retire.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that's a lifestyle choice there. Even today I was talking with Sean Allen, and he wanted to eventually, I think 10 more years of hustle pretty much, and get the cottage, get something in Florida's or the Costa Rica's or whatever, and just bounce around. Like, so yeah, if you can get a cottage and Airbnb it or rent it, and it's just gonna be something you're gonna retire in, and that's your lifestyle, perfect. And you can still hustle around southwestern Ontario, because we know you're close by, right, Emily? So
and so yeah, like I originally am from the Grand Bend area, and so it's already kind of a cottage beach location in Ontario, and so yeah, I'm really tempted. I'm actually funny enough you ask, I'm hoping to buy a cottage this winter in Grand Bend, and I think the angle I'm going to take there is Airbnb over the summers, and then just kind of use the vacancies when they're available for myself or my friends and family. I think it's really interesting. You know, when I've ran the numbers in Grand Bend, they're actually a little bit tighter than I'd like. So I am kind of, like Jeff said, looking at almost as much of a lifestyle investment as like a fundamental cash flowing business. You know, cottages and stuff, there may be some potential for appreciation with a lot of baby boomers retiring, but if you've been watching my channel, you know I don't love counting on appreciation. So that's just...
Yeah, but if you're trying to be Matt day one, it's probably not your best play. To buy this.
Yeah, unless it's a cash flow
if
piece.
you're you have as many units as you do now, it's not a bad idea.
It's a fun way to diversify it.
Exactly.
Emily said she's looking at Tobermory and or even Grand Bend.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I think those are both very interesting environments. I'm definitely more familiar with Grand Bend, but I'm sure Tobermory is
You want waterfront or just anything?
No, so like I wouldn't be going waterfront because I don't think you can make cash flow off of that. But just because it's going to be so expensive. So like I'm honestly in Grand Bend looking for something just off the main drag, right? Like it probably will be not like a party rental, but not a party rental either, right? Where you're going to want to try and maximize the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms. You know, having a huge living space isn't as important because the people are probably just looking at it as a place to sleep at night and crash. You know,
interesting.
So yeah, that's just my thoughts.
It says obviously waterfront. Obviously, right?
Well, it's for her, it's lifestyle. Right?
Yeah, if that's the long-term goal. But
Matt'll walk 3 blocks.
Yeah, I would love to walk 3 blocks. But to me, it can even be the stepping stone, right? You buy in that maybe not waterfront, get your sea legs, and then you can buy the next property on the waterfront, and maybe that first one helps justify the cost of the waterfront one or helps pay for the mortgage.
Yeah, and maybe just being there, you network the right person.
And like, I can't speak to Tobermory as much, but Grand Bend's a very small community. There's a handful of people that own a lot of property, and getting to know those people would be a fantastic way to get yourself in front of good opportunities.
Right on. Question from Dan Warren. How do you choose which neighborhoods or cities you invest in?
So I'm right now only invested in London, so it's really what I know. So I'm really focused on what I know. And I think that there's a lot of value in being a geographic expert. So that's what really drawn me there. As well as obviously I'm focusing on cash flow, so I need properties, at least in my current business model, that meet the 1% rule, and ideally properties that are in distress where I can add value. So like, I'm looking for a stable real estate market, so not a market that's constantly swinging. You know, something in Alberta might, like especially northern Alberta, would maybe be a little dangerous for my business model.
Yeah.
Because if oil's hot, man, I could refinance at the moon, but then next year my tenants leave, and all of a sudden, like, I can only rent it for a third or maybe 50% of what I was getting at peak, and so now maybe it doesn't cash flow. So, and like, say you're mid-burr, and all of a sudden the market crashes, you might not be able to refinance it at all. So that's another consideration. So for my business model, I just kind of stuck with what I know.
Yeah, I think we're lucky to be here.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic market.
But like, it's economics, Dan. You follow the economics. So like, it's easy because we got all the Toronto money. It's coming down the highway to London, and it'll be in Sarnia and Windsor. We get the trains and all that. So it's studying all those things. Matt's example of Alberta is perfect. Like, I own in Calgary, and I'm making money, but will I buy in Calgary again? Maybe not, but maybe for a flip. But you gotta like kind of catch that like pendulum kind of going in Calgary, right? Versus London, it's just always kind of going slightly up. So it's a lot easier in southwestern Ontario than it is in those like hotter markets like that. And like, you know, I think my grandfather had a saying like, don't buy an investment that you can't piss on. So like, have it close, right? Like, you want to be able to like check on it a bit. However, eventually, yeah, you will branch out. Like there's Levy, if he's still on, he's sending me stuff, and he's like from New York or area,
New Jersey stuff,
New Jersey
right?
stuff. So, you know, numbers are numbers, right? And even it was funny, like a Florida agent called when we were at a property like last week or a week and a half ago, and numbers are numbers, and just ask like, okay, what's near this Clearwater, Florida? Like, oh, we got this. What's the demographic? Do they have jobs? Like, what's in, like, so.
Yeah.
Just like figuring out the economics behind like, why would I buy that property, right? So.
Right on.
Yeah.
We've got some more questions if you guys want to move on.
Sure.
Yeah, we get up to 30 lives.
Well, yeah, I was going to say too, just really quickly while Adam's queuing up the next question, if you guys want to fire off a couple really fast questions right now, because we're planning to wrap this up probably in the next 10 minutes or so. We promised ourselves we wouldn't drag it on too long. For those of you that have been tuned in from the beginning and stuck with us through an hour and a half, we really appreciate it. It really does mean a lot to us. And even if you just came in for 5 minutes to say, hi, what's up, it honestly does matter to us. It really.
Or if you're watching this at 2.5 speed tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Like, but it's this feedback, it's this interaction that's honestly the reason that we're doing this.
I know, like, first week we were like, we better have like a list of 10 things to talk about in case we're dead. And like, Adam's got a question every minute here to us at least, right?
Yeah, the chat's been pretty lively tonight.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we got a couple questions here from Spencer Murray. How many units would you recommend starting off with, and do you have issues with not having units rented for a period of time?
So a lot of real estate investors will talk about the importance of having a vacancy reserve. So you're going to build in a theoretical vacancy. People will argue day and night until they're blue in the face about what that should be. Frequently, you'll hear something like between 5 and 15%. A lot of people kind of settle on that 7, 8 to 10% range. It really depends on your market. As far as what properties or how many units should be in your property, you know, me personally, for my first property, I would love it to be a duplex, just because at least, you know, if one tenant leaves, you still have 50% occupancy, and based on kind of my business model, you could probably float that property for quite a while at only 50% vacant or 50% occupancy without having severe.
But for you, Spencer, potential, go to fourplex, get it for 10% down.
Yes. This is the advanced model.
Because you're with a girlfriend or whatever, and then so that, you know, that makes sense to her. Okay, she hates it now. You move to the duplex at 5% down, and then you all of a sudden you then go buy your house, and then you've accumulated 1, 2, 3, like 7 units.
Yeah, and that's like advanced house hacking. Not sure what
Crash
that was,
bottles.
but yeah, popping bottles. But yeah, that's like an advanced tactic, and it's one of the perfect solutions in my opinion. There are other people that would argue against CMHC fees. I assume he's not in the comment section right now, or Adam's screen would be blowing out. No. So let's go on to the next question then. Did
you guys want to do a couple? I got like 3 or 4 quick ones here, and I think I've got a nice 2-parter that would be a nice wrap-up question.
Sweet. Sure. Perfect. And in the meantime, if you guys aren't subscribed to Jeff's channel, you definitely need to hit that subscribe button, because he's doing all kinds of realtor tips. But the thing is, even if you're a real estate investor, hearing his realtor tips will still really help you find good realtors, right? You'll know what to look for in a realtor based on what Jeff's telling other realtors to do. And if your realtor's not on DocuSign, if they're driving out with a printer to your house at midnight to make you sign documents, you know that that's not probably a good realtor. That's not the realtor for an active real estate investor.
All right, a couple quick ones here. Have you guys ever heard of the YouTuber Morris Invest?
I recently stumbled upon him. Yeah.
I get his notifications. Yeah, he's doing great.
Yeah, so he seems to be doing some interesting stuff. I haven't had nearly enough time to really dive into his back catalog.
Too busy watching Matt's channel, Graham's and Tanner's.
But yeah, most of the advice I've heard on his channel so far has seemed very valid.
He's an American, I believe,
yes,
right?
I believe so.
And like mid states somewhere.
He's in the States somewhere.
Yeah, and I think he does kind of like some turnkey stuff these days, right? Or partnerships.
He's doing a great job and then documenting it. So,
okay, what parameters do you guys look for when buying a multifamily property? E.g., like newer than 1990.
Oh yeah, age does not matter to me at all. Because I'm buying often in the core area of London, Ontario. Like I would say, outside of my student rentals, you know, all my properties are at least from the 1970s or earlier, and the vast majority of those are still century homes. They've been around for 100 years. I think they'll be here for another.
Yeah, it's so often Toronto calls me and they're like, "Well, how old's the property?" And I'm like, "I don't know, like 110." And then they're like, they're all expecting like new builds, and it's like in the core of London, Ontario, we have like Victorian houses here. So,
London almost was the capital of Canada. Little FYI.
Takeaway. Okay, when refinancing, do you only get half the appraisal value cash out from the bank? I'm still not quite getting refinancing.
Okay, so I'm going to try and I'll break it down real quick since we got
how many times have you done the video?
But I get it.
People,
you know, whatever. But so essentially, I'm going to buy the house for 100. Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Can you see that?
Yeah, that's perfect.
I'm going to buy the house for 100K.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a 80% mortgage. So that means I'm going to have to put 20K out of pocket on the property. So this is cash money I've spent. Then what I need is 20K to fix up this property. This is just a theoretical property, but I've pretty much done this literally in real life. I'm going to need another $20,000 in order to renovate it. Then what happens is the bank's going to come back and say, "Hey Matt, this property you just bought at $100,000 and spent $20,000 on, it's actually worth $150,000 based on a third-party independent appraisal." And so what happens is I now have a property worth $150,000. And so just again, the bank will give me 80% loan to value on this new price. And so I'll walk away with $120,000 mortgage, which is, this market is terrible. $120,000 mortgage. And as a condition of the bank giving me this, $120,000, I have to take $80,000 of those dollars and apply it to that first mortgage, that first $80K mortgage. So I have to pay that off. So then what I'm left with is, I'm left with $40,000 now. And so if you remember, I put $20,000 down myself, and I spent $20,000 on renovations. So essentially what happens, if you execute the BRRRR strategy properly, you end up having zero money tied into this property that's now worth $150,000. You only owe $120,000 on it, so you have $30,000 in equity. So theoretically, if you were to go and sell it tomorrow, and we ignore all holding, closing, and other costs, you'd have $30,000 to walk away with. Now, in real life, there's all sorts of fees and costs associated with that, so that's not realistic. But that's kind of how the BRRRR method works. So what guys like I do, or what other investors do is, you know, we had 40K to start with, we have 40K once the dust settles, so we take this 40K, and we go buy the next one, and we repeat the process. And that's where that last R in the BRRRR investing strategy comes from. I hope that helps make sense. And otherwise, I literally have, I think it's up to 9 videos now on the subject matter, and I really do try and walk people through step by step by step, because when I got into real estate investing, that was the biggest complaint I had, was everyone would like gloss over their history, gloss over their exact strategies. They're like, yeah, you buy a property, you buy it really cheap, and then you make a lot of money. And you're like, yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Sign me up.
How do I do this though, good sir? So yeah, I hope that helps.
What advice can you give starting YouTube channels and making real connections with other investors?
Well, I'm a new YouTuber.
So what suggestions you got?
Get out there, do it. Like,
make shit.
Like, a couple of our guys like, hey, your lighting sucks and this. Like, Okay, whatever. I'll chalk it up to the first couple. You can bury some videos later on too, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So
you can always put
you
them
know,
away.
you can archive them. You can or turn to unlisted. I think is what it is on YouTube.
Private.
So make some content. Okay, so thank you. I need to do one this week. We'll come up with some topic. Hopefully from the questions today. I'll run a video.
But so one thing that Jeff's doing that I think it's huge for brand new YouTube channels, and I wish I knew this more when I started, was comment on similar channels. And don't be spammy. Create one-to-one connections with those fans. If those fans are so active on that other YouTuber's channel that they're frequently commenting, they're the sort of person that's actively engaged in that content. There's a good chance they're going to click on you and check out your channel. Yeah. And they'll become an active fan of yours.
So yeah, I think self-proclaimed that I'm good at Instagram. So all I did was use the same strategy over on YouTube, and I found I just went on similar channels and then just commented and said, hey, amazing, great advice and all that, and or wrote specifically on the video, and then those people came all over to my channel and subscribed. So same thing in Instagram. I'm a realtor. I'll go on to realtor people's sites and say great listing. They come over to mine and they follow me and they like back. And then for the Cashflow2Go show, we're like looking out to the bigger pockets type community on the Instagram and all that. So like we're trying to like build the followership like that. So yeah, we're low right now, but we're getting up there. So like I think we have almost over 200 on Instagram right now, and like I've only been doing it for a week. So.
And so one last tip I just wanted to make before we move on is when you're commenting on another channel, like so for example, like Minority Mindset, he's crushing it from just like personal finance advice. Love his channel, love his process, everything, but kind of his whole process, the type of videos he makes, he can never dive as deep into the details the way my channel does, in my opinion, simply because he's restricted to a much shorter window of time where he's teaching people things. So when I see him do something on real estate, I know he's not going to have had the opportunity to explain everything about real estate. So I'll watch that video, go through the comment section. When people are asking real estate specific questions, he gets so many comments he can't answer all of them. So I'll answer some, right? And then at the same time, you don't want to be spammy. So I don't think it's wise to be like, oh, I just did a video on this. Watch my video and you'll know everything.
No, it'll just happen organically.
Yeah, instead you just say like, hey, that's a great question. When I got started in real estate investing, that was so tough and that was such a big deal for me too, or a stumbling block. And this is how I fixed it.
Click Matt McKee.
Yeah, this is how I fixed it. You know, and then like provide some real value. And then if you want to do a very soft ask at the end, I think that's fine. But make sure you're providing value in the comment section, like because I also see the people that are like sub for sub. I mean, like, those aren't real subs.
That's transactional, right?
Those aren't people that are watching your content. Those aren't people that are going to stick around in your channel. Those aren't people that are actually going to comment, like, share, subscribe. Like, you guys all doing this did for my channel, right?
Yeah. What's the group that meets in London that Matt talks about a little bit?
London on Fire. And so, actually, we're going to be meeting up this Tuesday, 6 to 10 p.m. at least at Palisade North. So, it's actually right on the corner of, like, Adelaide and Oxford, and fantastic spot. Just go into Palisade anytime between 6 and 10. Ask someone at the front desk. We'll also have signs, but just ask someone at the front desk. Say you're here for the London on Fire meetup group. We also have a Facebook group as well as a meetup.com group, so you can like get information about us from either one of those resources. But yeah, just show up to Palisade Tuesday, whatever day that would be, and just ask for the Pussycat room or the London on Fire group. So. And it's an amazing group. We usually get 30 to 40 people out. It's actually going to be our 1 year anniversary, is my understanding. And yeah, it's just going to be super fun.
You've had like, how many? Like
one every month.
Yeah. So
I think this is either number 12 or 13. Yeah. So that should be pretty cool.
Cool. Okay, so we're just over the 90-minute mark now. There's a great comment I just wanted to share, and then I've got like a nice like 2-part question that maybe you guys could end up on. So it's actually a comment from Katrina. I don't want this to end. I find it very informative, but I also need dinner, and there's no way to get my boyfriend away from this video. He's been watching since the beginning.
Thank you.
Put get it on your phone, put the headphones in your pocket, and keep it streaming.
But really, we do really appreciate comments like that because honestly, YouTube's fun and stuff, but like. It's not like we're making tons of bank on YouTube, so it's really these interactions. It's creating a community. Yeah. It's finding like-minded individuals that mean so much to us. So that does make my day. Thank you.
Awesome. So we got kind of a 2-part question that a couple guys were talking about in the conversations here, going back to joint ventures. So when not being able to get loans for a bank, joint venture is a good option. So the question is, if you put up the money for a down payment, would the loan be your partner's? And how would you split the profits? And then someone else was chiming in, thought it was a good question, and was wondering if you guys could talk a little bit more about joint ventures, how they work, how you split the profits, how you split the workload.
I know I've been talking a lot, but do you mind
Sure.
if I start again?
Yeah, go.
So I think the key is, first of all, you need to realize that you can structure it almost any way you want as long as it's legal within the laws of whatever state, region, province, country you're in. So a lot of people get very narrow focused and think it can only be done one way. Now, there's a lot of common ways, and maybe Jeff will touch on those.
Like they should, the common way is that they should hold the mortgage, and you're the person that found the deal. They hold the mortgage. You handle all the management, and you guys split headaches and reward 50-50. And you have a promissory note that says that you own half of that property. So that's the common way to do it, JV. I have a JV where I'm not even holding the mortgage. And I told Sean to get on here, but I'm not sure if he's watching live. But thank you for holding the mortgage. Well, I didn't have to hold that mortgage. So, and I have half the equity right now in that property. So, so those are like uncommon ways. And yeah,
and so like there's also like the people money deal, which is a popular one that's catching on in Canada. And so that's the idea is you split it a third, a third, a third. So the person that found the deal, they get a third of the deal. The person that has the money, so that's the person that's going to be borrowing the money and has the down payment, they get a third of the deal. And then the person that has the people or the skills to execute on the deal, they get a third of the deal. So that's another very popular model here in Canada. And it's honestly, you're only limited by your imagination and what makes sense in that situation. I am going to have some videos coming out though, because a lot of people have been asking me, and I'm going to talk about my specific partnerships and how I've structured them. There's a handful of different ways, and I think like a lot of things in life, it's very situational.
And there's so many people that don't want to, like, oh, 5 more years at my job and then I can retire. And it's like, well, why don't you start JVing right now? And then they don't think about that. Right?
Joint ventures are very powerful
the only way.
If done right. Yeah, absolutely. Other people's money.
You get stuck, like, eventually.
Yeah. There's.
I mean, you've done tons, but yours are more handshakes. So
yeah, and I'm not recommending everyone else do that. It's again very situational, but yeah, I think that I love joint ventures. The vast majority of the properties I own are joint ventures. So yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you watched all this video, tell us in the comment section because it really does mean a lot to us. And otherwise, we just really appreciate it. If you're not following Cashflow2Go on Instagram, we'd love that. Hit us up on Facebook, Cashflow2GoShow.
Yeah, we're just growing the Instagram. We're gonna make it like a lot more professional eventually because I'm just like posting out there like that we're just doing Friday 5:30. So it'll eventually get some stuff. We'll get some houses on the Instagram account. Make sure you're following me on Instagram, also on YouTube, and follow Matt on YouTube and Instagram. And we have a Facebook for Cashflow2GoShow. All this is to help you guys out. Some people ask us like, "What's the Cashflow2Go show?" I'm like, I don't know, question and answer. People from North America ask us some questions.
Yeah, and we really do enjoy this. Yeah, like, last Friday was
we had
the funnest thing ever, and tonight feels just as great.
Yeah, exactly.
But
more booze next week.
Yeah. So yeah, once I'm done the 60-hour fast, we'll get back to drinking, and we also have to do our Q3 update video sometime. We usually do like an hour-long video where we get really drunk.
So let us know what scotch we should drink for a Q3 update.
Yeah, tell us what scotch we should drink.
Because like we've had Macallan and one of the Glens.
One of the Glens. Yeah, awesome. Anyways, thank you guys so much. Remember, making money is a team sport. There's more than enough money out there for us to all make it, but if you're not saving it, I mean, like, what's the point? Thanks. Bye.